So I wanted to give a roundup of this last, it's a month really of being on this Desmoxan, Cytisine, or or whatever it's called, and what you could expect from it because I've done it. It's actually, you can say it's been more about 30 days than 25 days because I forgot to take the bloody tablets sometimes, which was a good thing because it was working. It follows on from the more personal videos that I did, which I was actually quite hurt in some of them and not used to being on video as well. So I wanted to be able to maybe do something a little bit more measured about what to expect from it. I have made some notes, so I may look down sometimes. Basically, what this drug does, it binds the nicotine receptors in your brain. It sort of partially stimulates them. Yeah, it reduces withdrawal symptoms because you kind of don't want to smoke because it blocks any of the pleasure or rewards you get from smoking, the chemical side of it. It doesn't block this bit, not at all. Because if you're doing this for nearly 40 years like I have, this bit is a hard thing to let go of. And it's stupid, it's a habit, but it's interesting that you don't need the drug of nicotine anymore and kill yourself with all those bleeding chemicals. Smoking does feel pointless from that point of view because you're not getting the pleasure. You still, I would argue, you still get the pleasure of, you miss that thing of the smoke hitting your throat, even though you're not, um, reducing any kind of withdrawal symptom. There is this, it really helps with the physical side of stuff, definitely. And you don't get the same kind of, again, physical cravings because you're withdrawing from a bloody chemical, you're withdrawing from a drug. So it's easier from that point of view, but there's stuff that it doesn't fix. And it's habits. It's your habits and routines. It's the way you punctuate your day. Whereas, I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee. For all these years, I have a smoke with my coffee. There's a social part of it. I hardly go to the pub anymore, but at work, I go out, have a smoke with the lads. And these are guys I wouldn't really see or get a chat with unless I was going to have a smoke with them. And the cravings go away before the habits do, and there's cravings for those bloody habits. And it's like for me, and I think for a lot of people, yeah, smoke through routine and not for desire. That's why I've got this piece of wood, you know. And some people will slip up, especially I have. I have a lot. I had 2 weeks with barely touching it or not touching it, and then I fell off the wagon a few times. But that happens. But progress doesn't have to be like a graph, like you're up here smoking, you go all the way down. For me, it was like this. It was oscillating, but it's going further down now. And I think I'm going to get to a point where I think I'll forget to smoke, like I forgot to take the damn drugs. Maybe that's something else. It certainly handles the chemical bit. The drug certainly handles the chemical side of things. You've got to deal with your own behaviour, and if you've been doing something for a very long time, it can be hard to break that, really. You know, that's the people don't warn you about with it. You know, and maybe they shouldn't. You know, I'm not a bleeding snowflake. I started smoking. I got to stop. And if I don't want to stop, I'll carry on bleeding smoking. You know, you really got to think about why you're doing it. And the main bit of advice I can give is if you feel like, if you think you might fall off the wagon, don't beat yourself up about it. If you have a fag, yeah, you had a bleeding fag. But have a bit of a think about how you felt about it. Did it do you any good? Could you just chew a piece of wood like I am? This drug works. Yeah, I should have mentioned as well, you know, I took advice before taking it. You know, these came from Poland because you've been able to buy it in Eastern Europe for the last 50 years over the counter. I think you can just about get it in the UK now on prescription. The side effects for me were minimal. Dry mouth, bit of heartburn, not really a problem. But you know, if you want to first get yourself checked medically, give it a go. Give it a go. It's helped me hugely. And you know, be happier, you'd be, well, I don't know about happier at first, but you'd be healthier. You'd be taking deep breaths. And you're going to save a shitload of money. So I totally recommend this. And, you know, I'd really like to hear, you know, if you've tried it or if you think of trying it, what else you tried to get off. Because it's a stupid habit. You know, some of us are from a generation where everything you saw on TV, people were smoking, the tough guys were smoking. Sophisticated ladies smoked, you know. There's a great deal of social conditioning, which is part of, but it, you know, which is a big part of it. I'm going to be doing some other videos about other things I'm going to give up. Going to try giving up beer for a while. That's going to be interesting. But anyway, let me know how you get on.